They say the Catholic Church stood silent as Hitler marched, that the Vatican turned a blind eye while millions were rounded up, that Christianity at best stayed in the shadows and at worst stayed complicit. But what if that's not the whole story? What if a Jewish scholar, an Israeli diplomat, no friend of Christian revisionism, stood up and said the opposite? Not quietly, not vaguely, but boldly. The Catholic Church saved more Jews than all other churches, religious institutions, and rescue organizations combined. Let that sink in. Not Red Cross, not the Allies, not even Jewish rescue networks, but the Catholic Church under Pope Pius XII, saving hundreds of thousands of Jews from the Nazi machine. If this is true, why haven't we heard it? And if it's false, why would a respected Jewish historian say it at all? In this video, we will uncover the truth and how the Pope's secret network saved thousands of Jews from the stings of the Auschwitz camp. If you are new here, I invite you to subscribe. We reveal biblical and Christian truths like you have never seen before. So who was this man who dared to credit the church? And could he be trusted? Let's take a closer look. Pinchas Lapide wasn't a Vatican insider. He wasn't a convert, a sympathizer, or a Christian apologist. He was a Jew, a scholar, a theologian, and a diplomat for the modern state of Israel. Born in Vienna, Lapide served as Israel's consul to Austria in the 1950s. He was deeply invested in Jewish history, Jewish-Christian relations, and post-war truth. And in 1967, he published a bombshell of a book titled Three Popes and the Jews. In it, he documented the role of the Catholic Church, particularly under Pope Pius XII, during the Holocaust. But this wasn't a work of flattery. It was a work of facts. Lapide himself put it bluntly, "I am not a Catholic, but I deal in facts." That's what makes his voice so powerful. He didn't write to praise the church. He wrote to tell the truth, even when it contradicted the dominant narrative. So what exactly did he uncover that made him break ranks with the common narrative? Pinchas Lapide didn't mince words. According to his research, the Catholic Church, led by Pope Pius XII, was responsible for saving at least 700,000 Jews, and possibly as many as 860,000 during the Holocaust. That number is staggering, isn't it? It means the Church may have saved more Jews than all other religious institutions and rescue organizations combined. How? First, by hiding Jews in monasteries, convents, and church-run hospitals across Europe. Entire religious communities risked their lives to provide refuge. Second, by issuing false baptismal certificates, a controversial but life-saving move. These documents gave Jews new identities, helping them escape Nazi detection. Third, through diplomatic channels, the Vatican leveraged its neutral status to pressure Nazi collaborators and protect Jewish communities in Slovakia, Hungary, and Romania. Behind the scenes, Pope Pius XII sent letters, emissaries, and secret appeals. Fourth, through Catholic underground networks, bishops, priests, and lay people smuggled Jews across borders, fed them, clothed them, and helped them disappear from Nazi lists. Lapide didn't claim this was flawless, but he made it clear the Church acted, and at massive scale. In his words, the Catholic Church under Pope Pius XII was instrumental in saving at least 700,000 Jews, and possibly as many as 860,000. This wasn't passive silence. This was quiet, sacrificial resistance, coordinated, costly, and deeply rooted in Christian conviction. But wait, wasn't Pope Pius XII accused of doing nothing? Now let's talk about the controversy that tried to bury this truth. Today, the story often goes like this. Pope Pius XII stayed silent during the Holocaust. He watched from behind Vatican walls as Jews were rounded up and sent to their deaths. But that's not how the world saw him during the war. In fact, Hitler himself saw Pope Pius XII as a threat. Nazi records show that the Pope's words and actions enraged the regime. In one memo, Hitler described the Vatican as a breeding ground for Jewish sympathizers and anti-Nazi propaganda. Why? Because the Pope wasn't silent, he was strategic. He didn't shout into microphones, he operated through channels that protected lives. He knew that a public condemnation could provoke the Nazis to crack down even harder. And Pinchas Lapide agreed when he said, "No one who knows the Catholic Church can reasonably expect it to conduct resistance like a guerrilla group." The Pope's diplomacy was quiet because noise would have meant death for thousands. While critics today demand drama, Lapide pointed to the results. Pius XII methods weren't theatrical, but they were effective. Jews were saved by the tens of thousands through quiet interventions and underground aid, not fiery speeches. Lapide argued that this discretion was not cowardice, it was strategic mercy. What he did quietly, but what he achieved speaks louder than any of his critics. And it wasn't just Lapide who noticed. In the years immediately following World War II, a surprising number of prominent Jewish figures spoke with deep respect, even gratitude, for the actions of the Catholic Church. Golda Meir, future Prime Minister of Israel, made this statement in 1958. "When fearful martyrdom came to our people in the decade of Nazi terror, the voice of the Pope was raised for the victims." Her words weren't whispered, they were spoken publicly before the United Nations, honoring Pius XII after his death. Chief Rabbi Isaac Herzog, the chief rabbi of Palestine during the war, expressed his admiration for the Pope's interventions. He even sent a personal letter of thanks to the Vatican, acknowledging the Church's efforts to shelter Jews across Europe. Then there's Dr. Jenno Levi, a Jewish historian and Holocaust survivor. After investigating the Vatican's wartime activity, he concluded, "No hero in all of history did more for the Jews than Pope Pius XII." These weren't marginal figures. They were deeply connected to Jewish suffering and survival. They spoke from first-hand awareness, not second-hand suspicion, and they spoke before the wave of revisionism that would come decades later. So why has all this been forgotten, or worse, denied? What does all of this mean, not just for history, but for Christianity? It means that when the world descended into madness, the gospel didn't disappear. It showed up in dark alleys, hidden monasteries, secret baptismal records, and hushed midnight rescues. When others looked away, faithful Christians looked evil in the eye and resisted. Not with weapons or revolutions, but with courage, compassion, and a deep belief in the sanctity of every human life. The Church didn't save lives because it was perfect. It saved lives because it followed a perfect Savior, one who taught that the greatest love is to lay down one's life for another. This wasn't politics, it was the gospel in action. Thousands of priests, nuns, bishops, and everyday Catholics risked everything to protect people they had no worldly reason to save. Why? Because of one reason: Christian conviction. This is what Christianity does when it's lived with faith, courage, and love. It doesn't hide, it helps, it heals, it sacrifices. And maybe the real question isn't why didn't we know this, but what else don't we know about the Church's role in history? If you have watched up till this point, I must say a very big thank you. And if this video opened your eyes to a new perspective, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It helps spread the word about these untold stories, and together we can make sure they're never forgotten. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next video.